Hello everyone, my name is Kirsten Scott and today I'm going to be demonstrating how to make a solar water desalinator for my SCS 1-for-1 Energy and Everyday Life class. So I'm actually going to move everyone closer so that you can see. It's kind of far away now. Alright, so you can see everything that I'm doing, but you won't be able to see my face, so that's alright. So I've already added the water to my container, just a cup full. It's already in the bottom there. The next step says to place this, it says add salt and then stir. Of course, add salt, that's crucial. They're calling for 1 teaspoon of salt. And this is a pretty small container, so that should do just a teaspoon. I saw some people were adding more than a teaspoon because they had larger containers, which I guess would make more sense as well. So here's my teaspoon of salt. Pour it all in there. My dog's being loud, sorry. All right, and then it says to stir it up. With your spoon. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to stir it until it dissolves or just stir it in general. Sorry. Okay. So I'm just gonna stir it like that. It looks like pretty much all of it has dissolved, pretty much. So then the next step says to place the smaller container, here's my baby container, inside of the larger one. And I'm guessing I'm going to be collecting water in this experiment, so I'm placing it face up for that reason. And then it says, cover the larger container with plastic wrap. The wrap should not be touching the smaller container. Okay, so here's my plastic wrap that I've already pre-cut. Somewhat sticking together, but that's all right. Make sure it's even so it doesn't fall off while it's outside. I'm going to sit this outside for a few hours once this is done so that it can collect whatever it's supposed to be collecting. I've never created something like this before, so it'll be interesting to find out. And it is not touching. It is on one side. Let's pull this tighter so it's not touching. There it is. All right. Then the next step calls for me to add the weights to the center of the container. This is a location where water that condenses onto the plastic wrap will gather and drip into the smaller container. Let it sit for 2 hours to several hours in the sun. The longer it sits, the more water will collect in the smaller container. So, I don't have any rocks. I have these little figurines that I got, though, that are pretty much the same weight. I have 1 pebble right here. Let's just put 3. 3 is a good number. That should be good enough. Okay, and then it says, after you let it sit, so I'm going to go ahead and sit this outside, obviously, for a few hours, and then come back and answer the questions and the extras. Hello, and I am back. So my solar water desalinator was sitting outside for, I'd say, about 3 hours, and I'm going to remove the little figurines and the rock that I had on top. As you can see, it's kind of like a little bit of condensation on the top around the lid, and I see in the center, like it said, that this would be where the salt water or the still water would be dripping into the container. So let's take this off, and I'm going to answer some of the questions. So the first question is, how much desalinated water did I get? So it looks like I got only a few droplets, just a little bit here at the bottom. It's really not that much, even enough to really show. How effective was the solar still in distilling the salt water? Taste your desalinated water and then the salty water. Why does the desalinated water taste different than the tap water? So I'm going to taste this. Wow, this is not salty at all. Wow, that's like good enough to drink. So this is the salt water. Oh, that's really salty. Wow, I never knew that this was something that you could do. That's really interesting. Basically, I'm guessing it tastes different because as far as the process goes with the conduction, convection, everything, pretty much I sat this outside. It was baking in the sun for a little while, and it caused the condensation to rise to the top where the plastic wrap was, and then it just dripped into the container that I had without the salt. I'm not really sure as to why the salt did not follow it. I guess there's some sort of scientific reasoning behind that. Does the size and the shape of the outer evaporating container affect its efficiency? I would assume that it would affect the efficiency to a degree, because if it was like, say, really snug tight around this, maybe perhaps some salt could leak in over the sides of the smaller container, but it might not have that much of a adverse effect on the purified water that you get from it. Does the depth and the volume of water in the evaporating container affect its efficiency? I would assume that the depth does affect its efficiency, because if this container is just as tall as this one, then it wouldn't really, make that much of a difference, or it couldn't drip into the actual, smaller container, which is why they're saying that the plastic wrap was supposed to not be able to touch this so that it could drip into it. Also, the volume of water. I think that if I put a lot more water in here, it would have evaporated quicker and dripped more into it over a shorter period of time. I would like to test out this experiment in different settings, different lights, on hotter days, cooler days. Today it was pretty foggy out, so there wasn't much sun, which is why I'm assuming that I didn't get that much of, a product inside of my container. But if I wanted to try it again, especially like in a different atmosphere, like somewhere in the Coachella Valley, for instance, in the desert, where it would be super, super hot, I'm sure that I would collect a lot more water a lot quicker. The water would evaporate quicker from the bottom as well, and just leave salt in the bottom here. But this experiment was really interesting. As far as improvements, none other than I just stated, just trying it in different climates with different materials, different grades of salt maybe, and just for longer periods of time, shorter periods of time, just to see how much water, desalinated water, I could collect. But overall, this was a really fun experiment. It's something that I've never thought of doing, and I wanted to thank everyone for watching.